So I want to first start by talking about the reality. One of the most important things in AI automation is to be able to separate hype from what actually brings real ROI. Because if you're implementing AI into your business, or if you're implementing AI into your client's business as an AI automation expert, you best believe you need to know how to actually bring ROI. And I can guarantee you, if you're just following the hype cycle, you're going to get lost in it and you won't actually build solutions that actually work and actually bring real business value. And so to achieve that, I want to first start with the most controversial slide ever. YouTube is full of BS. And I'm telling you this as someone that literally posts on YouTube. YouTube is full of BS, especially in the AI automation space. The things you see on YouTube, especially the videos that get the most amount of likes and the most amount of comments and the most amount of subscribers, are literally just cool demos. They're demos of technology that either doesn't actually bring any ROI or is not yet mature enough for you to actually implement it into businesses. And so I urge you, if you actually want to build AI automations that bring real business outcomes, then don't be looking at whatever is trending on YouTube for ideas. Understand the technology, understand the capabilities, and then work backwards from business problems to build real solutions. Autonomous AI agents are literally just cool demos. As of today, in mid-2025, autonomous AI agents are just cool demos. Now, if you guys don't know what an autonomous AI agent is, an autonomous AI agent is basically just an AI system that can interact with its environment in order to achieve an objective fully autonomously. So the idea is you tell it to go and solve a problem, and then it goes and fully autonomously solves that problem by interacting with different tools and APIs and databases. And although on YouTube and a lot of other places, people boast about autonomous AI agents, as of today, they're still not a reality. And I'll tell you why. So an autonomous AI agent is meant to do these things and meant to be these things on the left. It's meant to be able to dynamically handle processes, which in technical terms means if you give it a problem that is considered an edge case or it's nuanced and you haven't actually told it how to solve that specific problem, it will be able to dynamically figure it out on the go without you having to tell it the exact process of handling that specific case. So it's meant to do things dynamically. But the reality is that right now, in order to build AI agents that actually work, you have to tell them exactly what the process is in advance. You have to tell them that you're going to get this request, and then when you get this request, you're meant to do this, 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 and this, and this is the output you're meant to give. And so that doesn't really fit within the definition of an autonomous AI agent. Autonomous AI agents are meant to solve complex problems. You're meant to give it a hard, multi-step problem, and it's meant to be able to break that problem down and then autonomously go and solve that problem. Now, no matter how long it actually takes it, no matter how many sub-steps that problem has. So if you tell it to go and solve world hunger, well, world hunger might sound like it's one problem, but it probably has a gazillion sub-steps of how you have to solve world hunger. And if you give an autonomous AI agent a problem like that, I mean, that's obviously an exaggeration, but if you give it a problem that has multiple sub-steps and it's considered a difficult problem to solve, it's meant to be able to solve it no matter how difficult and long time horizon that problem ends up being to solve. But right now, autonomous AI agents can only automate simple processes. The more sub-steps that problem has to solve, the more likely it is that the autonomous agent is going to make a mistake and then go in a direction that it's not actually meant to. And so realistically, you can only automate processes that are maybe 3 to 5 to maximum 10 steps. Even 10 steps is very much not possible today. You can only automate processes that are extremely simple or problems that are extremely simple. That being said, if you want to give the agent autonomy. Now, autonomous AI agents are meant to connect to many tools. You're meant to be able to give them, let's say, 15 APIs or access to 15 different softwares. And then when you give it a problem, it should know how to call each of these softwares in order to achieve its objective. But realistically right now, you can only give an autonomous AI agent access to just a couple of tools. If you give it access to more than 2 or 3 tools, it's definitely going to break. And when I say going to break, what I mean is that it's either going to call the wrong tool or it's not going to call the correct tool when it should. And that's obviously a problem. Now, the most important one is that autonomous AI agents are meant to be fully autonomous. And in order for them to be fully autonomous, it means that we need to be able to trust it for it to autonomously go and solve problems and do things without human oversight, or at least with minimal human oversight. But the reality is that even our best AI agents today, I'm talking about the coding agents that companies like Cursor and Codex are working on, even they only work with human in the loop. You would never let them fully autonomously go and do something all by themselves. It's more so, I'll do a step, I'll ask for your permission. If you said it was bad, I'll do that step again. I'll ask for your permission. If you say it was bad, I'll do it again, so on, so forth. And so autonomous AI agents, at least to the definition that you guys have been seeing and are all so hyped about, is not here today. But that's not to say that they're not coming soon. I'm actually extremely excited about autonomous AI agents. I'm one of the most pro-autonomous AI agents people that you'll ever see. I really do believe that within just the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to have mass adoption of AI agents. And the world is literally going to change when that happens. But in order to get there, we still need a couple of things. We need to have better models that can operate over longer time horizons to solve complex multi-step problems. Models with larger context windows that when they are solving these very long time horizon problems can still remember what's going on. And we also need to adopt very good frameworks of having these agents communicate with each other. And so fundamentally, I believe as long as we can get better models with larger context windows, we're already 9% of the way there. And I do very strongly believe that this is going to happen very soon. And if you don't believe me, don't take my word. Listen to what Sam Altman said at an interview he took very recently.
I have to ask you, because we have you, you're training more models. You see the next capabilities before anybody else does. What emergent behaviors are you seeing in the next set of models that change, how you operate, what you want to build from a product perspective, how you're running OpenAI?
Yeah, the models over the next year or 2 years are going to be quite breathtaking. Really, there's a lot of progress ahead of us, a lot of improvement to come. And like we have seen in the previous big jumps, from GPT-3 to GPT-4, businesses can just do things that totally were impossible with the previous generation of models. And so what an enterprise will be able to do, we talked about this a little bit, but just like give it your hardest problem. If you're a chip design company, say, go design me a better chip than I could have possibly had before. If you're a biotech company trying to cure some disease, say, just go work on this for me. Like, that's not so far away. And these models' ability to understand all the context you want to possibly give them, connect to every tool, every system, whatever, and then go think really hard, like really brilliant reasoning, and come back with an answer and have enough robustness that you can trust them to go off and do some work autonomously. Like that, I don't know if I thought that would feel so close, but it feels really close.
Is there any intuition you can give everyone here for like what knowledge is in scope or soon to be in scope? Because when I think about core intelligence, I'm like, well, I'm reasonably smart, but I don't have a perfect physics simulator in my head. So like, how should I know what's possible?
The framework that I like to think about, this is not something we're about to ship, but like the Platonic ideal is a very tiny model that has superhuman reasoning capabilities. It can run ridiculously fast and 1 trillion tokens of context and access to every tool you can possibly imagine. And so it doesn't kind of matter what the problem is. It doesn't matter whether the model has the knowledge or the data in it or not. Like the model, using these models as databases is sort of ridiculous. It's a very slow, expensive, very broken database. But the amazing thing is they can reason. And if you think of it as this reasoning engine that we can then throw like all of the possible context of a business or a person's life into, and any tool that they need for that physics simulator or whatever else, that's like quite amazing what people can do. And I think, directionally we're headed there.
How exciting was that? Sam said superhuman reasoning capabilities, access to all the tools you can imagine, 1 trillion context window. And he said it doesn't even matter if it has access to the company data. You can literally just feed it within the prompt and it can go and solve that complex problem for you. So that's the world that we're headed towards, but we're not there yet. And so if you're looking for real ROI, you shouldn't be looking there as of right now. So snapping back to reality, this is where we are. AI workflows. Now, what an AI workflow is, it's basically just a rule-based automation. That's basically an automation where it's deterministic in nature. And so you can grab a process, right, and say that it's always going to happen this way every single time. And if there is any nuances, you can basically just say, well, if this happens, then go up, and then it's going to happen like this. But then if this doesn't happen, then go straight. If this happens, go down. If this happens, go forward. So you can basically sit down on a map and define every single possible scenario of that specific process. And then what you do is you go on NA10 and then you map this flow out one by one, and then you get that process automated. So the idea of rule-based automation is that you can just define a bunch of rules that will literally allow you to automate that process every single time that process has to run. Now, AI workflows are rule-based automations with large language models added into them. So rule-based automations is a technology that's been around for a long time, RPA, robotic process automation. But the reason why today they're super popular is because now you can add these large language models into that logic. And because of these large language models, they can now handle more dynamic cases. For example, when it comes to posting SEO blogs, the logic that it takes to write an SEO blog is still the same. But till now, we couldn't automate it with rule-based automation because the SEO post itself has to be different every single time. And so a human would technically have to come in and write that blog post every single time. But now, because we have large language models, you can pass in a blog topic and the LLM will write that blog post for you. And that obviously wasn't possible till now because we didn't have a way of automatically writing. We didn't have a way of automatically making decisions and thinking and judging. But now we actually do because of large language models. And that's why rule-based automations turning into AI workflows has created this monstrous industry called AI automation that is bringing a lot of businesses a lot of value. But as I said, these processes have to be repetitive. You still need to be able to map out the exact logic of that process in advance of sitting down and trying to automate it. And that's the difference between AI workflows and AI agents, right? With AI agents, it doesn't matter if it knows exactly how to solve that specific problem. It just knows it has access to all of these tools. And then when you give it a problem, it goes and it solves that problem for you. Whereas with these AI workflows, I still have to say, okay, well, first, when you get a blog topic, you have to go use Perplexity and research that blog topic. And then once you've got that research, grab it and create a plan. And then grab that plan and write a blog post. And then go to the Google Sheet database that we have and look at all the previous posts that we've made and then grab all of those posts. And then based off those posts, find internal linking opportunities. So I have to literally say, this should happen first, then this should happen, then this should happen, then this should happen. So I'm defining that logic in advance. But now because I can add large language models in there, they can allow me to do things that I otherwise couldn't have before because it can write, because it can think, because it can judge, because it can make decisions. And so that's made AI workflows super powerful to the point that you can still automate a lot of tasks inside businesses. Because a lot of tasks inside businesses, the ones that are truly bottlenecks, are tasks that are actually repetitive in nature. And so you can still achieve great ROI with just AI workflows. Now, I can actually explain to you the reason why the processes have to be repetitive with AI workflows. Technically, if you wanted to automate a very dynamic process, you technically could. What you'd just have to do is you'd have to be able to sit down and define every single edge case in advance, or every single scenario that could happen in advance. And then you could basically map out exactly how that scenario should be handled. Like this could be one scenario, this one could be another scenario, and then this one could be another scenario, and then maybe in the middle of this, you could have another scenario, in the middle of this, you could have another scenario, and in the middle of that, you could have another scenario. So technically, even if a process is extremely dynamic in nature, you can still sit down and figure out all the edge cases and map this like humongous, 5 by 5 meter long paper full of just logic and node of how to handle every single edge case. But obviously that will take you a gazillion years. So it's not really worth putting that much effort in to building any automation solutions that are going to be dynamic in nature. And also, it's very hard as a human to sit down and think of every possible edge case, especially when it's a dynamic problem. And so you're going to find yourself in constant maintenance when the flow breaks because there was something you didn't consider, and now you have to go and add that into the flow. And so although technically you can automate sort of dynamic tasks with AI workflows, you just wouldn't, because it's just silly to want to do that. It would make no sense. It would bring no ROI. And so, as I said, the more edge cases, the bigger the flow, the harder to build and the harder to maintain. And so that's why AI workflows work with deterministic, which is just a fancy way of saying repetitive or less random tasks. And I know that my handwriting is very bad, but that's a deterministic and that says repetitive. And now I want to show you a video that literally talks about the YouTube lie. And this is literally one of my own videos that I created of a lead generation automation, basically just a chatbot where I could say, hey, go and scrape 200 leads for me of this person in this company of this place. And the AI agent would go and scrape those leads and then put it in a Google Sheet, and then I could go and work with that Google Sheet. Generate a list of leads for founders of marketing agencies in London, United Kingdom, Chicago, United States, and Sydney, Australia. So as you guys can see, the AI agent runs, boom. And just like that, the AI agent responds with, I've added 272 new contacts for founders of marketing agencies in London, United Kingdom, Chicago, United States, and Sydney, Australia. And if we open up the Google Sheets that we've connected to the agent, you can see that now we have a list of 272 different founders for marketing agencies. And if we take a look at the actual location, you can see that the location is in line with what I actually requested from the AI agent. Now, let's say we're super interested in finding out more about this lead here, James Furman. We can just go and grab his LinkedIn URL and then tell the agent to research this lead and give the actual LinkedIn URL. And then just like that, the agent is going to run again. And after about a minute, the AI agent is going to respond with, the research on James Furman is now complete. Please check your email for the full report. And if I open up my inbox, you can see that 0 minutes ago, we received an email that says James Furman research report. It's got a nice photo of him and his company. And then there's a whole bunch of information, including his information, his company's information, his interests, the similarities between us, different pain points and solutions to those pain points that we can offer as a business, and a whole bunch of other granular information. Now, as you guys saw, obviously that AI agent was pretty cool. But the reality is that I am calling it this autonomous AI agent, but realistically, it can only do one or two things. It's very deterministic in scope of what it can and can't achieve. If you take a look here, I have the AI agent connected to two sub workflows. One of them is called lead scraping and one of them is called lead research. So basically the AI agent just has access to two tools. So one tool here and another tool here. And the things that I'm telling it to do is very simple. I'm just saying, hey, call on this tool with this instructions. And then this tool gives it the output back and then it'll give it back to me. So as you saw, like that problem is super simple. It's not a complex problem. And that's why it can go and actually achieve that. And it seems pretty impressive because the AI agent is autonomously calling on Apollo and then grabbing that information and then putting it inside a Google Sheet with a specific format and it's sending it out. But realistically, what's happening is this AI agent is connected to an AI workflow. So the fundamental technology inside this automation looks like it's AI agents, but it's still AI workflows. And I hope that proves the case for you guys. The autonomous AI agents right now are cool demos. Now, with that being said, I want to summarize with this one idea because this is extremely important. Right now, we have AI workflows, this technology that allows you to automate deterministic tasks using rule-based automation plus large language models embedded inside them. But soon, very soon, we're going to have autonomous AI agents that you can give it objectives without it having to be deterministic and given to it in advance. It should be able to go and solve that problem, no matter how complex or long time horizon that problem is, fully autonomously.